And it just feels like everyone's out there, grabbing for something. Like there's this gaping hole, this huge vacuum maybe.
Yeah.
And what used to fill it, that solid thing everyone could kind of lean on, that shared belief thing, it's not there anymore. Not in the same way.
Totally gone, or at least feels like it.
It's fragmented, right? Like a million pieces, and everyone's trying to pick up their own bit, piece together their own little truth. It's kind of wild, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like we've gone from, I don't know, a single well-lit path to this sprawling dark forest where everyone has a tiny flashlight pointed in a different direction.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is like that. We're all in this collective, but also deeply personal search, But the map we used to use has just kind of dissolved. And that internal drive, that deep, almost primal need people have for a sense of purpose, for coherence, that hasn't gone anywhere.
No,
it's
really.
just redirected. Whether things are going great or life completely knocks you off your feet, that yearning for meaning is still there, like pulsing beneath the surface. It's just part of being human, isn't it? That fundamental need to make sense of it all.
We've been thinking about this one for a while, really. Just the way people are trying to figure things out, it feels like something shifted, like fundamentally. But what is it, really?
Right. What's the core of the shift?
From where I sit, looking at culture, marketing, all that, it looks like everyone's trying to build their own brand of truth.
Interesting way to frame it. A brand of truth.
Yeah, it's less about buying into a pre-made package like a set doctrine or some big institution, and more about customizing your own. You pick and choose.
Becoming a spiritual playlist.
Totally. And honestly, there's a whole market for it now. You see companies, movements popping up, not selling a complete solution, but offering like pieces of the puzzle.
Right. Ingredients.
Exactly. Ingredients that people can assemble themselves. It's the ultimate consumer-driven approach to what used to feel, I don't know, more sacred, less transactional.
And that's where my mind goes, too, looking at it from the human behavior angle. It taps right into this core psychological need. We're wired to seek meaning, to try and build a story that makes sense of our experiences. It doesn't matter if it's some huge life-altering event that shatters your old worldview.
Right, like losing someone or a big failure.
Exactly. Or just the everyday questions that pop up when you hit a crossroads. That search for purpose is constant.
Always there.
And it can be incredibly uncomfortable, can't it? Especially when life isn't following that nice straight path we kind of expect.
Or hope for, yeah.
But that's also where the real, transformative growth can happen. If you allow yourself to stay in that messy, uncertain neutral zone for a bit.
The neutral zone.
Yeah, instead of trying to rush through it or slap a label on it too quickly.
Right. It's a totally different landscape.
Yeah.
And that brings us to something that's become, it feels massive, especially with Millennials and Gen Z, this whole spiritual but not religious thing, SBNR.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You hear that everywhere now.
It's not just a casual statement anymore, is it? It feels like a whole worldview, deeply personal, deeply curated. I was reading about it, and it describes this really deliberate, conscious move away from traditional organized religion towards something more individual, something they feel is more universal, maybe. It's about redefining your connection to, I don't know, the divine, the cosmos, in a way that actually aligns with your experience.
Your lived experience, yeah.
Not what some book or some institution tells you it should be.
And for good reason, From a psychological view, this SBNR thing really resonates with a deep sense of authenticity.
Authenticity, yeah, that's the word.
It's about shedding those societal expectations, those inherited beliefs that just might not feel true anymore deep down, connecting with your own core self. It's like people were saying, look, I want to find my own path, free from judgment, free from feeling like I have to hide parts of myself, my questions, my doubts, maybe my identity, just to belong somewhere.
Which is huge if you grew up feeling like you had to fit into a box that didn't fit you.
Exactly. It's a very empowering idea for people who felt constrained or unheard or even alienated in more rigid dogmatic settings. They're choosing inner congruence over just conforming externally.
It truly is like the customer journey for spirituality has been totally redesigned.
Oh, the customer journey. I like that.
Well, yeah. Instead of a prescribed top-down path, where you follow steps 1, 2, 3, attend this service, believe these things, do these rituals.
Right, the checklist.
Yeah, the checklist is gone.
Yeah.
You curate your own. You're the architect of your own belief system, picking and choosing what resonates, what fits your personal ethos, what feels genuinely transformative for you.
The DIY approach.
Totally DIY belief. And it makes perfect sense when you look at how traditional faith seems to be declining, at least in some places. There's this huge number of people, many raised in specific traditions, especially Christianity, who are now consciously shedding that religious identity. Not necessarily becoming atheists, but they're opting out of the institutions. The nuns.
The numbers on that are pretty stark, aren't they?
Yeah.
I saw some data recently. It showed the religiously unaffiliated population, the nuns, grew way faster than the affiliated between like 2010 and 2020.
Faster.
Yeah. And what really jumped out at me was that the U.S. is now the country with the second largest number of religiously unaffiliated people globally.
Second largest. After who?
After China.
Whoa. Okay, that's big. The U.S. second only to China in people checking none for religion.
Right. Think about that. A nation, founded partly on religious freedom with such deep historical ties to different faiths is now second only to a state with a historically atheistic ideology in terms of its unaffiliated population. That's a massive shift, a really massive shift culturally.
It's absolutely massive. And if you zoom out and think about institutional trust generally, it kind of fits a pattern, doesn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, it's not just religion that's seeing this. Trust has collapsed or at least seriously eroded across the board.
Yeah.
Government, unions, traditional media.
True. Lots of skepticism.
Yeah, and definitely traditional religious denominations too. People are just more skeptical of established structures, period. Anything that seems to demand unquestioning loyalty.
That makes sense.
That's why you see these non-denominational churches, for example, just popping up everywhere, often growing really fast. They're reflecting this shift, offering something different, less hierarchy, less top-down control, more focus on a direct personal experience.
Meeting a different need.
They're trying to meet a demand for community, and meaning that maybe the older, more rigid institutions aren't addressing anymore. They're adapting to the market in a way, even if they wouldn't use that word.
And that connects so deeply with the concept of church hurt or religious trauma that you hear so many people talking about now.
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
It really is. When you felt cut off or forced to hide parts of yourself, your real questions, your sexuality, your doubts, within a traditional setting, you naturally look for environments that allow for authenticity. Real authenticity.
You just want a place where you can be you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want a space where tough questions aren't just tolerated, but actually welcomed. Where doubt isn't seen as a sin, but maybe as a path to deeper understanding. It becomes less about finding rigid certainty and more about genuine connection, about exploring what feels true for you without that fear of judgment or being kicked out. People are really searching for that acceptance, that feeling of not having to perform or compartmentalize their lives just to belong. It's a fundamental need for integration, psychologically speaking.
But it's fascinating because while we see that here, it's not the whole global picture, is it?
Not at all.
Traditional affiliation might be declining in the West, but there's this whole other story happening elsewhere. Christianity, for instance, is apparently growing like crazy in sub-Saharan Africa.
Oh, massively.
I read somewhere it now has the largest number of Christians globally. More than Europe, which was always seen as its historical center.
Yeah, the demographics have totally shifted. It's a powerful reminder that what we experience here isn't some universal blueprint for how belief evolves.
Definitely not.
It's incredibly context dependent, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's happening in one part of the world isn't necessarily happening everywhere else. Culture, history, socioeconomic stuff, politics. It all plays such a huge role in how people find meaning or connect with something bigger.
It's not linear.
Not at all. It's not a one-size-fits-all path.
It really is a reminder that we can't just project our own experience onto the whole world. It's way too diverse. Even in places you might not expect, like China with its official atheism, you have young people doing what they apparently call digital religious activities.
Digital religious activities. Like what?
Like seeking deities and offering prayers, but on social media, online. Not in temples.
Wow. Okay. That's wild.
Right?
It is wild, but it's also incredibly human, isn't it? It shows how adaptable our basic psychological needs are. What that often points to is an underlying state of maybe anxiety, confusion,
Stress,
and
energy.
often a lack of those traditional social supports that might usually offer comfort or community.
So they're finding it online.
Exactly. They're seeking emotional connections,
Big right.
way to cope with stress in a world that can feel really isolating and complex, even in a society that officially discourages religion. They're finding spiritual outlets through the tools they have available.
It's a coping mechanism, basically.
It's a very natural response to stress, using digital platforms to fill that deep human need for something more, for connection, for coping. It highlights that even when things are tightly controlled, that human need for meaning just finds a way to bubble up.
It always finds a way. That makes so much sense. It feels like this whole search for meaning, whether it's through old paths or these new digital ways or curating your own thing, it all comes from that really basic, fundamental human need. It's not disappearing, it's just changing shape.
Absolutely. And the research consistently backs this up.
Yeah.
Meaning in life isn't just some philosophical nice to have, it's fundamental.
Truly fundamental.
And it has a profound measurable impact on our psychological and physical well-being. People with a strong sense of meaning actually live longer, healthier, happier lives.
Longer, like literally longer.
Yeah, literally. Think about that. It's not just about feeling good mentally. It's tied to your longevity, your resilience, your overall physical health. It acts like a protective factor against so many negative things.
Wow, so it's not just about feeling good, it's about being well. Truly well, body and mind. That's powerful stuff.
Exactly. And it becomes especially important, or the search for it often intensifies after really difficult transitions or traumatic experiences.
Right, when your world gets shaken up.
Major life changes, good or bad, are huge stressors. When you face a big loss or a massive shift in identity or something deeply traumatic, the process of meaning-making like forming a coherent story around what happened, fitting it into your understanding of yourself and the world, that process really improves mental health outcomes.
It helps you make sense of it.
It helps us process, integrate, and find a way to move forward, even when life, as someone put it, rarely follows a straight path. It naturally makes you question your purpose, your identity, and that struggle to make sense of things. That's where the most profound growth can actually happen, even though it feels incredibly uncomfortable at the time.
Yeah, the messy middle.
Right. It's about letting yourself be in that neutral zone of uncertainty, like the psychologist William Bridges talked about, not rushing to move on too fast or slap a new meaning on things before it feels real. It's like a necessary disintegration before you can reintegrate.
Okay, the neutral zone, like a waiting room for meaning.
Yeah.
But what about the flip side? Because our culture, I mean, it really pushes individualism, right?
Oh, massively.
We're constantly told, be self-reliant, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, figure it all out on your own. The whole commercial world markets this nonstop, you are unique, yourself is the key, the source of all solutions. But I remember hearing this phrase that the self is a very poor site for meaning. Where does that fit in? Seems contradictory.
It's a critical point, and it's a tension we feel all the time in modern life, isn't it? While meaning ultimately has to feel right to you, it has to be personally owned.
Right, it has to resonate.
Relying too much, or only, on your own internal psychic resources for meaning. That can actually lead to what some psychologists call a pathological aloneness.
Pathological aloneness. That sounds intense.
It is. It's not just being physically alone. It's a deep existential isolation where you feel disconnected even when you're around people. The idea is you literally can't build a truly strong, resilient sense of meaning in a vacuum.
You need other people.
You need external frameworks, other people, shared understanding, a sense of belonging to something bigger than just yourself. Without that, the burden of making meaning all by yourself becomes, well, crushing.
And that creates a real bind, doesn't it? Especially for younger people. They get all this pressure from society, social media, ads to figure it all out solo, be totally self-sufficient, self-defined.
Yeah, pressure is immense.
But if your own self isn't the best or only place to find that deep, lasting meaning, if it's too fragile a foundation on its own, then where does that leave you?
Exactly.
It highlights that huge tension between personal freedom, the freedom to define your own truth, and the very real human need for something beyond yourself, for connection, for community frameworks. It's like saying, yeah, be authentic, absolutely. But you can't really be authentic in a total vacuum. You can't just be this isolated unit floating in space and expect to feel grounded or purposeful.
Precisely. Which brings us right back to the critical, undeniable need for community.
Community as the anchor.
Totally. Being part of a healthy community provides those vital resources and meaning. It offers concrete support, sure, but also that deep sense of belonging and a crucial foundation for your identity.
Makes sense.
Think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Remember that pyramid? He put love and belongingness right after basic physical needs and safety.
Yeah, level 3, I think.
Right. He argued that without feeling connected, without being part of a group or having meaningful relationships, it's incredibly hard to move up towards self-esteem and self-actualization, both of which are tied to finding and living your purpose.
You need the belonging first.
And then there's self-determination theory from Deci and Ryan. They built on this, emphasizing relatedness as one of 3 fundamental psychological needs.
Relatedness.
Yeah, our innate drive to feel connected to others, to care for and be cared for, not just casual friends, but feeling genuinely valued, understood, part of something.
Okay.
And they show that when this need for relatedness is met, people are more intrinsically motivated, they have higher well-being, more psychological growth, and importantly, a stronger, more resilient sense of purpose.
So it proves meaning isn't just an individual thing.
It's profoundly social, deeply rooted in connection.
And the data on what happens when you don't have that connection, the impact of social isolation, it's genuinely shocking. I remember reading something that just blew my mind, that being socially isolated is as bad for your health as smoking like 15 cigarettes a day.
Yeah, or being an alcoholic.
Yeah.
Those comparisons are real and based on solid research.
That's just huge. Feels unbelievable. And the flip side, that connection improves survival rates by 50%. That's not just feeling good. That's literally life or death.
It really is. It's staggering, isn't it? Beyond just survival rates, connection significantly reduces the risk of depression. It improves immune function. It increases psychological resilience when things get tough.
It literally heals us.
It literally heals us. When you have those strong social bonds, those real connections where you feel seen and supported, your body and mind respond positively at a biological level. It's a protective factor for both physical and mental health in a way that's almost hard to grasp. But the evidence is just overwhelming. Our biology is wired for connection.
It's amazing that something seemingly intangible like connection has such concrete physical effects. And you see how that plays out in these new kinds of spiritual communities that are popping up now. They often reject the rigid dogma, right? They're not about converting you, but they offer music, teachings, fellowship. They provide community, but without those strict boundaries that push so many people away from traditional religion.
Yeah, different model.
Someone called them a kind of hospice for people feeling exiled or hurt by previous religious experiences. They're filling a very real need, a demand for connection and shared experience, but without the prescriptive stuff. They're building alternative sanctuaries.
It makes perfect sense, especially when you think about those deep needs for belonging and authenticity we were just talking about.
Right.
People still crave that shared experience, that sense of being part of something, that collective search for meaning, a framework to help navigate life's big questions. These new groups are just offering it in a different package, one that prioritizes personal freedom and emotional safety alongside spiritual exploration.
They show community can happen outside the old structures.
And be profoundly healing in its own way.
Which brings us to another huge factor shaping all of this: social media.
Oh boy, yeah.
It was originally meant to connect us, right? Like I remember reading about the patent for 6 Degrees, one of the very first social networks. Its goal was explicitly to help people link up with others. The intention was connection.
And in some ways, it has. It's become a really key sociocultural mechanism, especially for younger people trying to find their place. Maybe resist feeling alienated.
Find their tribe.
Exactly. Find their tribe. Those digital religious activities we mentioned, they thrive there, providing emotional bonds, connection, a sense of group identity, even if it's all online. It's powerful for finding niche communities that might not exist offline.
But then there's the dark side, the echo chambers, the polarization.
The algorithms.
Yeah, the algorithms. They fuel it in ways that make this search for meaning incredibly complicated, don't they? They're designed, even if accidentally, to reinforce what you already believe, just to keep you clicking.
Keep you engaged.
Right. So you end up in these environments where your opinions just get echoed back at you constantly. It makes it really hard to stumble across different viewpoints, ideas that actually challenge you, even if you know you should seek them out.
It walls you off.
It totally walls you off. It's a system that kind of entrenches division, and it can make finding any kind of nuanced truth feel almost impossible because you're rarely exposed to anything outside your bubble.
It's such a paradox, isn't it? We crave connection, and social media offers this shiny version of it.
Yeah, connection on demand.
But it can also lead to a more superficial existence, or even amplify negative emotions, anxiety, comparison, if you're not super careful. If you don't approach it with what someone called motivated selectivity, purity of desire, prayerful disposition, self-control, and custody of the senses.
Whoa, okay, break that down. That's a mouthful.
Huh. Yeah.
It is.
But basically, it just means being incredibly intentional.
Okay.
Selecting what you consume, not just passively scrolling. Approaching it with a clear purpose, like wanting genuine understanding, not just validation. And maintaining self-control, custody of the senses, meaning you control the feed, it doesn't control you.
Being mindful online, basically.
Extremely mindful. It's about conscious interaction, not just passive consumption. And that's a constant battle for everyone in this hyper-connected world. You can find community, sure, but you have to be hyper-aware of how that online space is shaping your reality.
It's like trying to find solid ground on quicksand made of algorithms. And speaking of shifting ground, there's this growing interest in blending ancient wisdom with modern life, which feels like a reaction to all this digital noise.
Definitely feels like a counter-movement.
Like, think about Alan Watts. He did so much to bring Eastern philosophies, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism to the West back in the day.
Oh yeah, he was huge. A great communicator.
He really was. He just opened so many people's eyes, make them think differently about consciousness, reality, everything. Even if some academics or traditionalists thought his takes were maybe a bit simplified or wishy-washy.
He still had a massive impact.
He fundamentally changed how a lot of Westerners approached those ideas, made them feel accessible, not just dusty old texts.
He absolutely did. He made these incredibly deep, often complex philosophies feel, well, digestible. And the ideas he talked about, like the concept of universal laws, remember the law of correspondence, as above, so below, as within, so without.
Right, I've heard that. What does it actually mean, though?
It suggests that patterns repeat throughout the universe, from the biggest scale, the macrocosm, down to the smallest, the microcosm. And crucially, that our external reality often mirrors what's going on inside us.
Our outer world reflects our inner world.
Exactly. It's a powerful idea, sometimes a confronting one. It suggests our inner state isn't just reacting to the world, but actively helps shape our experience of it.
So if my life feels totally chaotic, it's because I'm chaotic inside. That feels, I don't know, a little harsh, especially if huge external things happen, like a pandemic, losing your job, getting sick, stuff you absolutely did not cause.
That's the crucial distinction, isn't it?
It's
not
not
about blame. The law of correspondence isn't saying your inner chaos caused the pandemic.
All right, good.
What it does suggest is that how you perceive, react to, and navigate that external chaos is profoundly influenced by your internal state.
Ah, okay. Your response is shaped from within.
Precisely. If your inner world is already turbulent, that external chaos will likely feel much more overwhelming, more destabilizing.
Huh.
But someone with a more grounded inner state might face the exact same external event, but experience it differently, maybe with more resilience or clarity or acceptance.
So it's about changing your relationship to the external chaos by working on the internal state.
Exactly. It's the idea that self-awareness can shift your entire experience. And this ties right into why mindfulness practices are exploding now. Mindful breathing, connecting with nature, body scans.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
They're essentially spiritual self-care tools, often stripped of religious baggage, making ancient wisdom practical for navigating modern stress and cultivating inner calm. They're about shaping your internal response to reality, and by doing that, transforming your experience of reality.
That also bumps up against existentialism, right? That big, sometimes scary idea. If life is inherently meaningless on a cosmic scale, if there's no built-in grand purpose handed down from above, what do you do?
Yeah, the big so what now question.
Right. And someone like Camus exploring the absurd, he didn't say despair, he talked about absurd joy, right? Finding meaning through creation, through making art just for the sake of making it.
Not for results, but for the process.
Yeah, not for fame or money, but just the act itself, savoring experience. It's about finding meaning now, in this moment, through action and engagement, not waiting for some final cosmic reveal. You create it yourself moment by moment.
It's about taking ownership of your existence, really. Even facing a universe that might seem indifferent. Camus's absurd joy is this powerful, almost defiant act of meaning-making.
You rebel against the meaninglessness by creating your own meaning.
Exactly. You don't find it, you create it through passion, creativity, engagement, which is precisely where postmodern thought throws another curveball, doesn't it?
How so?
Because postmodernity brings all this questioning and uncertainty about knowledge itself, about grand narratives, universal truths. Can there really be trustworthy meaning when everything feels relative? When every truth is questioned, every perspective seems equally valid?
Right. What does truth even mean when the landscape is constantly shifting and there's no single authority everyone agrees on?
It creates this wobble, this deep uncertainty.
And you see this playing out in weird ways. Like, I saw something about a decline in religious literacy among college students. They often express goodwill towards different faiths, respect to diversity,
The intention is good.
but there's this big gap between saying they're open-minded and actually engaging deeply with different beliefs, or even understanding the basics of faiths other than maybe their own, if they have one.
A surface level respect without deep engagement.
Yeah. And it's not just religion, it extends to politics too. Like, positive attitudes toward political conservatives apparently dropped sharply among college students, which suggests a broader struggle with nuance, with understanding, maybe even tolerating viewpoints way outside their own bubble.
A real discomfort with complexity or disagreement.
Yeah, everything feels very polarized.
And that uncertainty about truth, it can be really unsettling for people, especially when the world feels so unstable anyway. But it also forces a deeper personal examination, doesn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, if the external structures aren't providing reliable answers anymore, it means that faith or meaning or whatever you want to call it, it needs to feel entirely natural, as someone put it.
Natural.
Yeah, not forced, not dictated from outside, not just inherited without really thinking about it. It pushes you to focus on what feels genuinely real, what resonates as true for you deep down.
An internal compass.
Exactly. It forces you to develop or maybe rediscover your internal compass because the external ones are spinning or broken or just don't point in a direction that feels right anymore. It demands a level of self-interrogation that maybe wasn't as necessary when those external structures felt more solid.
So if the world we're living in is constantly morphing, where what was once solid is now fluid and everyone's chasing their own version of real, what does it actually mean to be truly grounded? To really know yourself and where you stand when the ground beneath your feet just keeps shifting like this? This episode is powered by NeonKore Media for stories they said were too real to tell.